Let's go. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hansen. I'm one of the. Let's start again because I don't know who I am and what I do. I'm Elizabeth Hansen, and welcome to Meet the Creators. And today we are talking with the creators of the wonderful audio drama Pirateers. So we want to start off with introductions. So, Alicia, introduce yourself to the folks at home. You can laugh. It's funny.
Okay. So I am co-founder, director, writer, sound designer, and voice actor for Eternal Future Productions.
And what is that cute little thing that you're holding in your hands?
So this is Flat Jonathan, if you've heard of Flat Stanley. This is our version of Flat Stanley. Our audio drama alliance group came together and decided to make a joke out of it and made our version of Jonathan. And if you notice, the costume here is actually the same costume that Sonia made for Bosun.
Oh,
So when you guys came to SonicCon,
original SonicCon.
she actually had this on display, and so we took pictures with Jonathan, and she had no idea what his size was, but he happened to fit perfectly into the costume. And then years later, little did he know we would make this.
I think it's actually kind of cute. Jonathan, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Jonathan Cooke, also co-founder and writer, director, primarily voice actor for Eternal Future Productions. I play Captain and Bosun, both on Pirateers. Oh, and Cooke as well. There's a smaller character named Cooke that I play, based off of my last name, because he's also the cook of the ship.
I'm Hansen.
So is she.
Son of Hans. I should know. Yes. Alicia's last name is Hansen. No relation. It just happens that way. Okay, so the first question, and I remember asking this to Alicia a couple of weeks ago when we were kind of just talking about this. Tell us what Pirateers is about. So who wants to be the first to tell me what Pirateers is about?
When we go that
in
one
25 too? Words or less.
In 25 words? Oh my goodness. Okay. Basically, it's about...
well, maybe 30.
Oh, good. At the core, it's about Captain and Bosun and just their kind of spiritual journey and their growth through that. Through season 1, they discover the gospel. Through season 2, there's more obstacles and barriers that come their way, and they figure out how to deal with that and through faith. And then there's more characters that come along, and there's all kinds of things that happen. But at the core, it's Captain and Bosun, really.
You want to add anything to that, Alicia?
I agree with what he said about Captain Bosun being the heart of the story, and then everything else that happens around them really, because you care about Captain Bosun so much, you care about the other characters and what they're going through as well, and seeing everything from their perspective in a sense. I think that there's a lot of intrigue with just the adventure, the drama, the humor in this story, the relationships, and people feel connected to the characters, and that's what really I think sets this, one of the elements that sets this show apart, is that you care so much about these characters because they're so authentic, they're so real, and that comes through in the voice acting. And Jonathan is incredible with both of these characters and the nuances and he gives them, and so I think he explained it really well.
How did you come up with a funny faith-based pirate show? So who wants to take it first?
I think Jonathan should take it first.
I should take it first?
Okay, Jonathan, take it first.
Well, it came about as a product of COVID, speaking of, when so many things came out due to everybody being trapped in their homes. But we were tossing around the idea of, what do we want to do? And we both had an interest in pirates, and we thought that would be kind of fun. And it had to be funny, and at least in my book, I love humor, I love comedy, so we had to do something funny with pirates. And she had the idea of, two pirates where maybe the treasure they're seeking is actually the gospel, and they get to come and find that along the way. And the original idea for it came from, again, COVID, with everybody hoarding toilet paper and going crazy, that would be the joke, is the buried treasure might be toilet paper. And so there's a line in there like, in what world would toilet paper be considered treasure? And that's kind of how it all started. And
caught that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
good. Do you want to chime in anything, Alicia?
What did I miss?
No, you explained that all very well. The toilet paper scene was actually our very first scene that we imagined. And just the show in general, it really
during COVID, it was what everyone imagined.
It was, and everybody could understand the inside joke. Everybody could understand the inside joke, and I think that made it so relatable. But the show is also, just about the irony of these pirates that do come and find the gospel, and then you have to wonder what happens with that. How can you still be a pirate if you've never found the gospel? How does that affect the other characters? Is there going to be dissension among the crew now because not everybody is going to accept that? So it had so much intrigue. It was bound to happen to eventually write a show about it.
Going to kind of shift my point of view here from objective interviewer to subjective listener. One of the things that I liked most when I first listened to Pirateers, first of all, I was really impressed with the soundscape that you created, the production of it. But I really liked that you don't hit me over the head with the message. The message organically comes out of the story, which is refreshing and really nice. It's really good. Jonathan, I know you live in California,
right.
And Alicia, I know you live in Florida. How did the two of you come together? How did you meet, and how did you become partners in this great endeavor called Eternal Future Productions?
We met on a voice acting website. I was looking for voice actors to act in my productions, and I just really liked the quality of his voice. I listened to his demo, and I'm like, oh, this guy can really act. And so I reached out to him, and ironically enough, he did not get my message for months because he was never alerted through that website. And that was just the first project. He was on all my projects pretty much after that because he was so good at voice acting. And we learned just through time that we had so much in common among, our families, our faith, and our desire to want to produce projects with a purpose. And so we became very good friends, dear friends through that. And we decided to make the company so that we could make those projects.
Yeah, but to add on to that, just because I was primarily just voice acting in that moment, I was doing a lot of video games and some animations here and there, and it was all fun and entertaining and things, but it really felt like there wasn't a whole lot more to it than that. And that was a conversation that we had, was there's just not a lot out there with purpose behind it and really good content. So I can't find voice acting jobs to do that, and so why don't we just create some? And that's kind of how it started, really, was okay, well, let's start creating things. What do we want to create? And then Eternal Future Productions was born.
Yeah, I noticed this kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. And though I don't write faith-based audio dramas, Dramify is curated because I found, as I was kind of putting together the idea for Dramify, I was doing my due diligence, and I don't think I was old enough to hear some of the stuff that was out there in audio drama land. So kudos to you. Who is the writer on Pirateers?
Let Jonathan.
Get out of here.
No, both of us.
We both write. We'll toss around ideas over video calls and send each other script things and that
revisions,
kind of thing.
Ideas.
We both just do it.
And it's most effective over video call just because we can literally give immediate feedback that way. And the other process takes much longer, but it still can be effective.
Yeah, and it's great because we both have our strong suits. Like I said, I really love funny, goofy stuff. She really loves the dramatic character development stuff. And so, there may be parts where, why don't you write more on this one, and then I can add some, or I'll take on this one and then you can add some. And so we work really well together, and we both cover both sides of it. So it's nice.
Yeah, those guys. Those guys. That's really remarkable that you found somebody, because collaboration is a tricky thing. I mean, you both have kind of got to be on the same wavelength. And I don't usually collaborate because it's just kind of hard to get along with other people. I've only done a couple of collaborations on the writing front. I love collaborating with, directors and, other creative people that are on the team. But I always found that it was kind of hard to write with somebody else. Okay, so what is something, I don't know, unique or fun that's happened to the both of you as a result of Pirateers? Oh, either the writing of it, the producing of it, the success of it. What's something fun that's happened?
So,
Flat Jonathan.
Black Jonathan was born.
There's so that's enough said. We can move on to the next question.
Yeah, 25 words or less.
That's all you need is that. But fun little fact: we did win the People's Choice Award, which was really, really neat, and very just very honoring. But the relationship
was that the Seneca Awards, the People's Choice Award from the Seneca Awards?
Yes, and thank you for clarifying that. Yes, it was the Seneca's People's Choice. We won it last year.
Yes, just everybody said we choose this. So, what's the Seneca Awards?
You want to explain that one, Jonathan?
Seneca Awards is an award show aimed primarily at audio drama, family-friendly audio drama specifically. Mm-hmm. So they take all of the year's productions. People can nominate shows for various categories, and then they have an awards show usually in the spring. I don't think they're going to do it this year or this coming year. I mean, but it's just an award show similar to the Emmys or the Oscars, but for audio drama.
So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. So Alicia, continue on with something fun or unique or rewarding, or because I know you've earned millions of dollars from it, so we've got to find it somewhere else.
You have to have a passion for this, and I do, to the point, maybe even to a fault, that I will work so many hours past than I need to, because I love it so much and I enjoy it. But I would say one of the most rewarding things that I've ever experienced through this was just the friendships that I have formed with Jonathan, with Craig Hart, and Bethany Baldwin, and JD Sutter, and so many people that I haven't even listed. I just love them, and they're lifelong friends, and legitimately, like, I've met them in person. It's our 88 group, Audio Drama Alliance group, and our friends through that. And so that's the most rewarding thing, is those relationships.
Jonathan?
Same for me, really, is like she said, the connections. It's been kind of mind-blowing to me, just coming from just being solely a voice actor and doing those things to kind of discovering this whole world. I had no idea audio drama was, that much of a thing until I met Alicia and we started kind of doing that. And then it's like, wow, there's a whole bunch of people doing this and a whole bunch of people making these things. And so it was really kind of opened up a whole new world for me. And I thought that was really, really neat. And it's been so great. I've learned a ton through doing all of this, and that's been really, really cool.
Staying on the kind of the audio drama train here for a second, why did you choose to create in the audio drama world? Under that podcast umbrella, there's this little subset of audio drama. Why did y'all choose that?
It's just audio drama is such a beautiful way to explore your creativity, and it's so accessible as far as the resources go to making an audio drama. I can create a soundscape that sounds cinematic, that fills your ears and feels like a movie with a low budget, and I can train myself and I can seek advice from others and look at tutorials and actually accomplish something that could be pretty amazing. And so audio drama just, I think, is probably, if somebody has that passion to create, but they don't have the resources or the budget to make a movie, an audio drama is such a perfect way of doing that. And then you really, really get to connect with your listeners. There's a partnership with you and your listener.
I totally agree with you. So, and this is one of the things that I want to bring up, is that, Alicia, you do the soundscape. You do the sound design, don't you, on your production?
I do a lot of sound design on my productions, but I have to give a huge credit and shout out to Drew, because Jonathan does a lot of sound design as well. Especially in recent.
Drew, what's his last name?
Drew A. Forbes.
There we go.
Did all the sound design except for the first 2 episodes of Pirateers in season 1. he did all the sound design in season 1, and then he helped us some on season 2 and 3. But he was the really big, he carried that so well, and is an incredible sound designer and composer. And then Jonathan has just really been stepping up and doing a lot of sound design himself too. So we've all kind of shared in that responsibility, but I kudos to these guys.
So let's dig a little deeper into the audio drama realm. How does it compare with working in other mediums, film or theater or, well, that's pretty much it, film and theater or video, because for me, what I found is that, because you were talking about accessibility, I think there's an accessibility for the listener, but there's also accessibility for the creator, because like in film, you can make your own film, but trying to find distribution for it is like really, really hard. And in theater, trying to find a theater to produce it is really, really hard. So how have you, when you talk about accessibility, give me some more details.
I think I think of places like where you to get sound effects. When you can actually, there are libraries of sound effects, and then there's also ways you can actually record fully in your own house. That kind of accessibility is very practical. There's so much more involved in filmmaking than in audio drama, but you're not losing the quality when you work on audio drama. You're still expressing the same amount of quality.
Jonathan, I want to talk with you and dig a little bit deeper in the voice acting realm, because I know I like to do voice acting because I can do it in my pajamas at home. That's the one. Even if I went into a studio, I can still wear my pajamas.
That's true. Yeah.
But I mean, you are a professional voice actor out in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles area. Let me put it that way. So, how? Tell me a little bit more about how it is in the Hollywood world and how it is in the audio drama world. Give me a little bit more about the timeline and the time frame.
The timeline and the time frame,
if that makes sense. Yeah. So, like, if you do something for if you're hired to do something, how long does it usually take to do? How long does it usually take to come out?
Right.
In the professional world, as opposed to the professional audio drama world.
As far as time frame goes, it's definitely a lot longer with those commercial products, and it obviously depends on the scope of the project. If it's something really big or a really long project, that takes a little more time. Video games, they record voice over pretty early on in the development of it, and then they create all the animations to go around that. Same thing with animation, and those voice acting is part of the early part of the process, and so it can take years. I've recorded for a couple of video games in the past, and I remember waiting 3-4 years before I ever heard of it coming out. Audio drama is a much faster process. Generally, there are definitely times where it can take a while, depending on everybody's schedules. But for the most part, audio drama that's another part of that being accessible, is that you don't have to wait on studios and engineers and booking spaces and all this stuff. You just get to create it and do it. So there's definitely, as far as the time frame goes, it's much more expedited through audio drama, I think.
The other thing that I love about audio drama is the control that I have as an artist over my work. As a writer, you never have control. As a screenwriter in the film business, you have no control over what ends up on the screen. It's different on stage, but because the writer is king on the stage, but the writer is the peon in the film world. What are some of the challenges that come? This is for both of you. That comes from audio drama. What are some of those challenges that kind of are innate in the medium, in the business of it? Because we're kind of still in the wild, wild west of the business of audio drama. So, and do you see that it has changed over the last few years that you've been in it?
I would say one of the challenges is For audio drama specifically, I think a lot of people expect audio drama to be free, and that is a challenge because to push past that barrier. And with that assumption, you could be putting quite a bit of money into it. You have to really, really love it.
Yes, I've said that to my therapist quite a lot. Why am I doing this? Jonathan, I want to throw that question to you as well.
Yeah,
what are some of the challenges?
Yeah, especially from the business aspect of it. Like she said, it's hard to find ways to keep it sustainable. Trying to get it out there and find people interested in it, and not only who are interested in it, but will also, maybe want to buy it from you. So trying to get it out there, trying to find ways to market it. Anything that's business related, marketing and all that stuff is, calculus to me, and so it's like a foreign language, and the last thing I want to do. It's like, we have to come up with something to like, a pitch for it or something, and it's so hard. And that really is like Alicia said, it's just so much you put into it and put forth, and the effort you put into it. So it really is a challenge sometimes.
Had that same challenge as well. Is people would be just stare at you blankly at audio drama. It's like, podcast? Literally, I had a woman say, "You mean like a podcast?" "No, it's audio drama." And then I explain it, and she goes, "Oh, like a podcast." I said, "No, it is an audio drama, like."
Yeah.
"Oh, like a podcast." And when I decked her, I finally smacked her.
Somehow it sunk in.
Anyway, what is okay? So let's kind of. Again, I want to kind of stay in this audio drama realm. And for those who are just starting out in the audio drama world, because I got into this only 4 years ago. I got into it maybe a little earlier than I did. But for those who are just getting into the process, what's the process like? And using Pirateers as an example, let's look at the first season. From idea and conception through to what you considered was maybe the first episode. What is that process like?
Well, usually I'll get an idea and we'll literally just talk about that idea for a while and start to brainstorm and pray about it. And we'll go back and forth with ideas, dialogue. And once the script is finished, then we start to contact the voice actors. And as far as scripts go, I highly recommend to new producers, be willing to accept constructive feedback. Because we reached out to somebody recently about a script of ours, somebody we trust and respect, and he looked over it for us, gave a lot of positive feedback, but he also added just some suggestions. And I think it's because of those suggestions that it's an even better script now. So be willing to accept constructive feedback. After that's done, we go through the process of contacting the voice actors, which that takes up a lot of time. That's emails sent out to everybody. And we get our recording sessions scheduled. Then once those are recorded, we start going through the final takes, which that could take some time too, right, Jonathan? Mm-hmm. Once we do that, initially we didn't go into voice track editing as we do now. That would be the next phase. In the past, have just gone right into voice track editing along with the sound design. And when you're writing your script, we would also include notes about sound design in the script, which would make it easier when we did the sound design. After that, then there's the music. And in Drew's case, Drew A. Forbes, I mentioned earlier, when he got on board, he would handle the sound design and the music and the mixing, and he makes it sound all pretty. I think that's about the end of the process, but can you think of anything that I forgot?
Well, no, and it's changed a lot. Like starting season 1, it was we just had the 2 characters. I voiced both characters, so it was like, here's the lines, go record them, and we were done. So it's definitely grown to more now, where it is trying to schedule people and get all that recorded, and so. We're making it more difficult for ourselves. I don't know why we do that.
Yes, there were a lot more characters in season 2. I remember that going, oh, look, there's all sorts of other pirates now. Let's start bringing it home. Why should people listen to the show? And let's make this a 2-part question, a 2-parter.
Part 1.
why should people listen to the show? And what do you hope that they take away from listening to the show?
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that people enjoy the humor of it and just the fun characters and all that kind of thing. I really like that. I think our characters are relatable, and I hope that people can connect with our characters. What I hope they take home from it is the message that we try to instill into it. Season 1 we had the pirates going through this, finding the treasure, and we had the gospel message. And season 2 and season 3, we focused a lot on forgiveness and going through various struggles and leaning on your faith through those struggles. And so I hope that people take those things away with it and can somehow kind of apply it to their own lives and relate to the characters, and we'll help them do that.
Yeah, you explained that really well, Jonathan. And just to elaborate on that, I just recently had somebody message me, Betsy. Her name is Betsy, and wonderful human being, and she just sent me a message about the character. She said the characters, the situation they were in really spoke to her, and so I think that's one thing I hope that people take from this is that they continue to relate to these characters, but also because of that, I hope that the message, like the gospel that we do have in season 1, and what Liz pointed out, was organically put in there. I do hope that that gets them thinking. It gets them asking themselves, is this true? Is this, for somebody maybe who's not a believer, I want them to ask themselves, is this true?
Thank you. There was something else I wanted to ask, and now Squirrel.
I do like pineapple on pizza. I'm sorry.
There you go. That was the question, Jonathan.
I had a feeling.
No. Well, if I can't remember the next question, let's just wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and I really want to thank Jonathan Cooke and Alicia Hansen for joining us today with their wonderful production of Pirateers, which we just dropped the season finale, season 3 of Pirateers. And yes, you can only hear it on Dramify. So to hear it, go to dramify.com and just search for Pirateers. It's right there in the banner carousel. And just click on it and enjoy it because it's lovely. Is there anything else anybody wants to say? Anything that we missed that you have a burning desire to say?
Yeah, well,
I would like to thank Maybelline for my lipstick color. Thanks.
Well, I wanted to say thank you to Dramify because I think it's a really cool platform. I think it makes things just so convenient to listen to audio drama instead of having to go search everywhere for it. It's all in one place, and it's like the equivalent of Netflix but for audio drama. And I just think it's so nice. It's so convenient, and I happen to like the person who is running it. With she happens to be in this interview, so she's a fun person, and I love her. So I had to say that because it was just.
Well, it's either that. Do you have anything in closing that you'd like to just?
Again, like what Alicia said, thank you so much for featuring us and giving us a platform to try and get our stuff out there. And thank you for this opportunity to talk about it. It's really, really neat. Love it.
Well, thank you so much. And scene. There we go. Thank you, everybody. And again, tune in to go to dramify.com and listen to Pirateers. And bye.